July meeting of the Omaha Public Power Board of Directors. My name is Mick Mines, and I represent District 7. This year I serve as chair of the board. Let me introduce the other board members. Director Rich Hurley represents Subdivision 1, and he serves as secretary of the board. Director Ann McGuire represents Subdivision 2 and serves as chair of the governance committee. Director Tim Gay represents Subdivision 3. He's the vice chair of the board this year. Director Fred Ulrich represents Subdivision 4, and he serves as chair of the Systems Management Committee. Director John Green represents Subdivision 5, and he is the treasurer of the board this year. Director Tom Barrett, he represents Subdivision 6, and he serves on the Systems Management and Public Information Committees. And last but not least, Director Mike Cavanaugh represents Subdivision 8, and he serves on the Nuclear Oversight and Systems Management Committees. Seated to my immediate left is OPPD President and CEO Tim Burke, and to my far right is Kim Tracy. Kim is the Corporate Secretary. A few housekeeping rules. First and foremost, turn off your cell phones or silence them. The regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public as you came into the room. Individuals are not required to identify themselves as a condition of admission to our meetings. Remember, this meeting is streamed, so your comments are of public record. Our regular board meeting have public comment periods on the agenda. This doesn't apply to special or emergency board meetings or committee meetings, though the board may allow for additional public comments opportunities at their discretion. It's board policy, and we encourage the public to attend and speak at our regular monthly meetings. Indeed, we value and welcome civil, respectful, clear, and concise communication, which means that speakers shall refrain from repetitive, profane, or irrelevant comments. Following board discussion on each matter, I'll ask for public comment before bringing the matter to a vote. Also, prior to the adjournment of the meeting, you'll have an opportunity to comment on any other OPPD matters. If you wish to speak, please approach the podium on the right and state your name and address. State the name of any organization that you're representing. Organizations, I'd appreciate it if you would consolidate your comments into a few people. Again, comments made by all parties are a matter of public record. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending at the discretion of the board. To assist you, we'll use a red, yellow, green light indicator to ensure that each member of the public receives a consistent amount of time. Ms. Tracy will signal 30 seconds remain during your speech, and as well as when time is up. Please direct your comments to me, not to other board members or the executive team. I'll either respond to you directly or defer a response to another board member or officer of the district. If you brought written materials, please hand them to Ms. Tracy. She will take them on our behalf and distribute. Law prohibits polling the board. The district may at any time enforce any other rules and regulations regarding the conduct of persons attending or speaking at the board. Now I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Burke for the safety briefing. Tim?
Great, thank you very much. Obviously, you came in 2 of the exits of this room. Most of the individuals, attendees would exit in the same manner in which you entered this room. We would exit on the 16th Street side of the building, and as you go down the steps, as you entered, we would ask you to use your 3-point touch, 1 hand on the railing, 2 feet on the ground. In the event of a fire, please do not use the elevators. There is a fire extinguisher right by conference room A, which is right outside this left door, my left door anyway, and just right around the corner. There's also one in the kitchenette area as well. If you have a medical condition, please write it down or tell your neighbor. There's also an AED in the first aid kit that's right before you go into our cafeteria on the cement brick wall, one on top of each other. Is anybody here certified in the use of an AED or in CPR? So we have several that are certified in this room. Very good. Mark, would you call 911 in the event that we need it?
I don't have my phone with me.
So Rod, would you call 911 and Central Security in the event that we need it? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see here. That threw me off, Mark. She always is the 911 representative, so sorry about that. No, we don't anticipate a tornado, but in the event there was a tornado, we would actually move to the west side of the building, down into the garage area, which is it's a safe area of the building. So with that, is there any questions to the safety briefing at all?
I got a question. Did you lose your phone playing Pokemon?
Ms. Tracy?
Agenda item number 3, notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in the Omaha World Herald and outlets, by displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza since July 5th, 2016, and by mailing such notice to each of the district's directors on that same date. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the open meetings law is available for inspection in the public meeting book located in this meeting room. Agenda item number 4, approval of the May 2016 comprehensive financial and operating report, the June 16, 2016 board meeting minutes, and the July 14, 2016 agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Barrett?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Gay? Green?
Yes.
Hurley?
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Mines? Ulrich?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 5, resolution number 6123. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the Health Plan 2015 Annual Report on the district's self-funded health plan, a copy of which is attached hereto, is hereby approved.
Director McGuire?
In 1991, the Board of Directors authorized the formation of a self-funded administration services health plan. The health plan includes the health insurance programs and the dental program offered by the district. The health plan's subject by the Political Subdivision Self-Funding Benefits Act to prepare an annual report on the health plan, which we received on Tuesday. We had an in-depth report on that. We have 2 funded reserves that are maintained for the health plan in accordance with the Act. One reserve is to account for timing delays in claims filing and processing, which is referred to as an incurred but not presented reserve. And a second reserve ensures that funds will be available during each ensuing month and is called the monthly claims and expense reserve. So like I said, we reviewed this in depth. If any of my fellow board members would like to ask further questions of Mrs. Sutke, they can, but I would propose approval of this plan for the 2015 annual report.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? See none?
Barrett?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Gay?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Hurley?
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Mines?
Yes.
Ulrich?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 6, resolution number 6124. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the compensation adjustment for Vice President Lisa A. Olson as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto be and hereby is approved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we reviewed Ms. Olson's performance in closed session, and we've all agreed that she's had a very successful transition in her new executive role. She has, the stakeholder process, she's the one who helped formulate it, it's now become a national, she's been nationally recognized for that. She's gone around the country even giving talks about it, written papers on it. And she used that stakeholder process this year in the rate restructuring, the office consolidation, and also resource planning, and plans to use it with our new strategic plan this fall. It's been a very, very helpful tool for us to, with the community and to find out, what our stakeholders are thinking about. She's done a great job with the legislative team and helped out quite a bit. Their team helped with the Win for Export. And she also reorganized the entire corporate comm team and has done a great way with that. In addition to that, she's done a great job in communicating to the entire OPPD workforce about the OPPD cost initiative. We're suggesting a change of a 4% raise from a present salary of $300,000 to $312,000. That would give her a midpoint of 97.5. And at this time, I think it's important that we sort of discuss how we've changed the compensation in the past year and a half since Mr. Burke has been here. And I'm asking Mart Setke to discuss that.
Morning, Mart.
Good morning.
So prior to Mr. Burke's tenure as CEO, total compensation for executives was set at 25th percentile of the market of total cash compensation.
25th or 75th?
It was 75.
75th, I'm sorry, 75th percentile of total cash. Mr. Burke, once he took this role, moved that to 25th percentile of total cash compensation. And what that drives for us is it sets the median, or what we use to calculate that comp ratio. And if the median is set so much higher on 75th percentile of total cash, what it drove was constant market adjustments to try to move our executives to more of a reasonable comp ratio. So we believe 25th percentile of total comp is appropriate for the organization, and that's where we've set it.
Great.
Okay. The other is that executives currently have a $5,000 amount set aside for them to be able to pay out-of-pocket medical expenses. We will be doing away with that at the end of this year. And they had company cars, which are being eliminated. We have one left for Mr. Burke, which will be eliminated toward the end of this year. So those changes have all occurred. The other change that was made was on our exempt merit reviews, we have a guideline matrix that we use that is based on the individual's comp ratio and their rating, their performance rating. And Mr. Burke is now using that same guideline to recommend these increases for the executives.
And we used to give bonuses, or that's also, we no longer have bonuses, is that correct?
No, we do not have any kind of incentive plan at this point.
Yeah, incentive, not
So
bonus.
execs really don't have that many benefits, so anything they get is in that salary. There's no extraneous benefits, hidden benefits, or anything like that.
Correct.
It's far more
Any other
transparent.
questions?
I have one more. I'm just a little bit confused on the 75 percentile and the 25 percentile. What does that mean?
So what we look at is we use an outside company called Towers Watson, which has information on over 1,000 different utilities, both public and IOUs. And we look at the market median based on whether or not we're looking at 75th percentile of what's paid for total compensation in the market,
Okay.
or 25th percentile of what's being paid for compensation in the market. And we moved from 75th to 25.
Okay.
What that does is then it lowers the median of the executives' ranges and makes their comp ratio higher.
Okay.
Director Barrett, the impact of that has been pretty significant reductions in midpoints of up to a $100,000 to $150,000 reduction in midpoints.
Okay.
That we've reduced the range, reduced the midpoints, and moved them to what we believe is more of a comparable spot from a public power and just the nature of the business that we're in today.
And it's eliminated the need for us to do market adjustments.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Mark.
Yes.
Thanks, Mark.
Any other questions?
The only risk we take is retaining our execs, that someone else might take them away from us, for a higher salary. But we're hoping we can keep Mrs. Olson.
I bring chocolates to senior management meetings periodically.
Yes, we have to be very kind to them, because we do appreciate her work. So, once again, we needed the little sidebar before we talked about both of them, but I want to go back to Mrs. Olson. I want to strongly suggest her
Thank
rate
you.
increase.
Thank you. Any comment from the audience? I see none.
Barrett,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hurley,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Mines, Ulrich.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 7, resolution number 6125. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the compensation adjustment for Vice President Julie A. Comstock as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto be and hereby is approved.
So move.
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Comstock, this is her first year in an executive role, and she's done a great job. She's done she's always had been with customer service, and she's expanded that to an entire team. In customer service area, she's worked with office consolidation this year, payment processing solutions. Also, she worked she and her entire team worked diligently on rate restructuring. And she's one who came up with the customer credit solution for our low-income customers who are also low-usage customers, which I think has been a great help for all of our low-income customers who are affected by that. As far as Environmental stewardship, she gave the environmental stewardship presentation yesterday, and she's in charge of all of our demand-side management portfolio. And she's, just been doing a great job. So I would suggest her salary increase of 4%. Our present salary is $275,000 with a proposed salary of $286,000. That would be 88.5% of that midpoint.
Great. Board, any questions, comments?
I got one comment, just on both. Also sit on the governance committee with Director Mines and Director McGuire. Recommended these be given to, but just for the record, we look at all the duties underneath as well. There's a lot of employees underneath these two senior managers, all senior managers, but these aren't just slam dunks. We did ask a lot of questions. How's it related to public power versus private? We aren't a private, we're public, but you do have to weigh both those considerations of it's still running an energy company, a very large, well-run company, and we're on track, we're meeting our goals, and as you mentioned earlier, Tim has changed things a lot. I'm glad we're getting rid of some of these perks. This is just what it is. Here's what you get paid.
Very transparent, yeah.
Yeah, it's very transparent. You lost, cars and some of these other things that were hidden. So they're well deserved and they're doing a good job. But I just didn't want to make it like we just rubber stamp these things. So
Okay, thanks. Anyone else? Anyone in the audience? I see none.
Barrett,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
yes,
Gay,
yes,
Green,
Yes.
Hurley,
yes.
McGuire.
Yes.
Mines.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 8, resolution number 6126. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors accepts the monitoring report for Strategic Directive SD7, Environmental Stewardship in the form as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto, and made a part thereof, and finds OPPD to be sufficiently in compliance with the policy as stated.
I move to approve.
Second.
Director Hurley?
Yeah, we met on Tuesday and had a full report on SD7 environmental stewardship, and went over it and discussed numerous items, and I also the one item we did discuss at length was the 30% goal for renewable energy resources, and I think that's very important to retain that and keep that in mind. Other than that, I don't think, if we have any further questions, we could direct them to Julie.
I'd like to add a comment that I had proposed that we start looking at a 40% retail sales to be renewable energy resources, especially since when we had our resource planning that was presented to us with the closing of the nuclear power station, we can see we can easily achieve that 40% wind generation. And I appreciate the discussion we had, and I do appreciate, hopefully, that we'll get some more information to back up my my status and my claim. I think this is, and I think we're going to get something from management and Mr. Burke on this to further back that up, that I think 40% actually is a modest goal, because I think we could perhaps even make 50% in the next 10 years. And again, this is a long-term goal that we're talking about. We're not talking about short-term goals. It'll be a long-term goal, and we've got that in our resource planning already.
It's clearly a goal that we need to look at, and we always do look at it, but until things fall in place, we just have a little bit of time and planning to do. But the long-term future looks bright, and we'll stay on top of that. And as you said, next month we'll have some feedback. Anybody else? Any comments from the audience? Good morning.
Morning. David Corbin, 1002 North 49th Street. I stand in support of raising your goal. Goals are aspirational. If your aspirations are low, then you'll never get to where you need to be. 40 is, I agree, is a modest goal. LES is already at 48%. You can't strive to be better with goals that you know you will already make. That's not a goal. That's a fait accompli. So I strongly urge you to raise your goal. Doesn't make any sense to me to keep it at 30%. There's only one other thing in that plan that I looked at yesterday that I probably need some more explanation, and maybe I can talk with Ms. Comstock about it. But the part at the end of the 97.3% during peak period, I think it had a special name, which I don't remember right now, but that may be very helpful to OPPD. I don't know what it will do for the environment. I mean, if we've got people turning on generators to keep you from reaching peak, we do need to talk about the environmental concerns. So I seek some guidance on how that works. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Good morning.
Good morning. Scott Williams, 312 South 16th Street. That would make Director McGuire my elected representative. And I wanted to stand in support of Director McGuire's initiative to increase the renewable energy portfolio goals for the district. Because as Mr. Corbin had said previously, I think that a goal is something that we're going to be shooting for, not something that we're going to fall across the line for. And with the testing. Excuse me. A goal is something that we're going to be aiming for, not something that's just going to be happening by default. And so I think that we need to set the goals for the district higher. It's true that other public power entities, even within our own state, are already achieving higher renewable portfolio levels. And I think that I'd like to see OPPD being a leader in this effort. There are a wide variety of different types of technologies that can be explored, different types of programs that can incentivize moving renewable energy into a more complete part of a diverse portfolio. I personally am strongly supportive of distributed solar energy, and I was just having a conversation with John Pollock here at the beginning of this meeting to try and find out whether or not we have a good monitoring of the type of solar energy that's coming from the ratepayers of the district, and whether we're actually able to count that. And I don't know if that represents a part of our renewable energy. I know that we don't have any significant grid-scale solar online at this time in the district, but that would be something that we could do to increase our renewable energy. I think that there are incentives. We can look to LES as a leader in incentivizing solar energy. You know, from an individual's perspective, a south-facing panel maximizes the benefit to the individual under the net metering scheme that we currently use. But to the district's benefit, a west-facing panel is significantly more beneficial because the peak of the solar generation better matches the peak of the demand. And I think that's one of the things that I've heard the entire board as well as management talk about significantly over the past year and a half, is that looking at peak power demand is one of the most significant criteria for how to best manage the district. So renewable energy can really be a solution to helping address one of the most significant situations in our district, which is peak power demand. Solar energy in a distributed sense peaks directly when we need peak power. And I think looking at programs like that to increase our renewable portfolio would be a step in the right direction. Setting a goal higher than the level we're already going to achieve anyway is a first step in starting to figure out how we come up with proposals and then plans that are implemented to actually achieve that higher level of renewables.
30
So I
seconds.
strongly encourage you to take the recommendation of Director McGuire and look to a higher level of a goal of renewable energy for the portfolio of the district. Thank you.
Morning, John.
Morning, John Pollock, 1412 North 35th Street. I would basically like to echo David Corbin's comments. 40% ought to be very achievable, and you could go higher. I would also encourage you to do monitoring of the output that we're getting from our renewable sources. We have a significant peak demand that's coming up, and I'll get into that more in the general comment section. But if you're collecting data when you've got high demand, then you'll have a much better idea about how this stuff is likely to perform when you've scaled up to larger amounts.
Thank you, John. Morning, Mark.
Hello, Mark Welsh. I live at 5611 Howard Street, and I would just echo what these other people have said, that I think you need higher goals. And I have a question too. Why is the percentage based on customer sales? Why is it not based on all of your sales or all of your generation? Because, when you're looking at this environmental question, what's important is how much CO2 is being put up into the air, not how much CO2 is being put into the air because of our customers, our retail customers, but of all of our customers. And because of global warming and climate change that's going on, we need to have a goal of 100% renewable, not putting any carbon dioxide into the air very, very soon. And that needs to be across the board with all industries like us. And because OPPD has been a great leader in this area, I think that we could lead even the one in Iowa that is getting, I think their goal is 80% in just a few more years. I mean, why aren't we better than Iowa? Come on, guys, we can do better than Iowa, I think. So that's my comment today.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else? I see
Mr.
none.
Chairman,
I'm sorry.
Just a point of, did you say next month we're going to have, I thought we were going to, are we going to have an answer? Are we going to deal with this next month?
I think we're going to put together some information,
Just
whether it's
information.
whether it's
We're
an
not gonna-
answer
we're
or a
not gonna-
recommendation, I don't know.
No.
We do have the IRP process that'll be coming up this fall.
That's what
That
I
will
thought.
drive some of the other information that obviously
Well-
we'll have the opportunity to present to the board.
I just, for the public too, I just didn't know. I thought yesterday the IRP process we're going to go through.
Right.
And then.
I think we can get some
but that's
facts
not
right
next
now.
month.
We have some facts now that we can,
I don't think we'll be ready to set goals
Right.
next month because this is indeed a long-term, expensive process.
Right.
And we need to be sure what we're doing.
Okay.
So, but we'll have information next month.
I think what we were gonna do is as we look at the resource plan, that was kind of the reference of the context yesterday, is understand what those impacts would look like over the period of that time,
Right.
based on each of those years as a percentage of generation and or retail sales. And so we'll have that information, but that information, and as we begin to develop the integrated resource plan and the stakeholder process that will accompany that, we'll have a better insight of what that looks like after the integrated resource plan. So my recommendation is let's wait till we get through the integrated resource plan. That will identify, really with customer input, what that will look like. And the board will have the opportunity to, see that and review that before we move forward.
Okay, because I just didn't want to be misleading and say, oh gosh, we're going to do something next month, and then have you guys say, oh, you said we're going to,
Yeah.
why aren't you dealing with this 40%?
No, I-
There's a lot of information has to
I
be
think the
gathered.
thing is that we wanted to come back to the board with some more facts about that resource plan and exactly
Yeah,
what it
sure.
was.
And I'm not saying against
Yeah.
or for, it. I just
Yeah.
don't want to be, that we're going to make a decision next month.
That was the issue that was brought up, was do we do it right then, or do we take a look at the resource planning and see where it is? Part of the discussion was that Grand Prairie doesn't come on until sometime next year, and that gets us past the 30% mark. And until that's guaranteed to come on, moving that goal may not be in the best interest of the district. See, I always believe in achievable goals rather than pie-in-the-sky goals, because my goal would be to be president of the United States, but that's not achievable. My short-term goal is to make it to the end of my
I'd
term.
vote for you.
But my idea is that the
people
resource
would.
plan already said that it is not pie in the sky, that it actually did say 40% in that resource plan. So, at any rate,
This could
That's
have
it.
been your year.
that's the end of the discussion for now.
No one's voting.
Any other comments from the audience? I see none. Ms. Tracy?
Barrett,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Hurley,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Mines.
Yes.
Ulrich.
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 9, resolution number 6127. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that management and the district's general counsel are authorized to commence and complete eminent domain proceedings as necessary to acquire all necessary property rights and permanent and temporary easements for Elkhorn River Valley Transmission Project and permanent and temporary easements for the relocation of Transmission Line 155 projects.
I so move.
Second. Director Ulrich?
Chairman, I'm going to ask Tim Nissen to come up and explain this to, what did I do? Say something wrong?
No, you're doing fine so far.
Okay. Oh, you kind of gave me a second look. Anyway, he's going to explain this to us. It's part of our natural process of when we're involved in a transmission line project, although there are some nuances to this one's a little different.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Filling in for Vice President Bogman. Thanks for having me. So this is a process where we come to the board to seek permission to exercise eminent domain for various transmission projects if necessary. This is the last option we do after only as much good and reasonable negotiation attempts are made. And a couple projects here that we're asking permission to use this should it be necessary. The smaller one would be a NRD flood control project in northwest Omaha for a dam site project. And in that particular case, we had to raise the height of a couple of transmission structures, and as part of that, to be able to support that dam project. And by raising the structures, it allows the conductors to be able to swing a little bit further in the wind, and we needed to widen our right-of-way a little bit. And so the intent there would be to use this, if necessary, to be able to increase that easement width a little bit. The second project is the Fremont Transmission Project, ERVTP. This is a very valuable project that we've established in partnership with the Fremont Department of Utilities, and it is an SPP mandated project to help increase the reliability of the transmission in that area near Fremont, to increase the transmission capacity to be able to allow Fremont to bring more energy in a strong transmission source, which helps them in various ways from a generation flexibility, as well as be able to attract more economic development. So it's about a 23-mile line from Blair to Fremont, and as part of that project, we have a really strong, robust process of stakeholder involvement, where we establish what the route should be for that line. That was established last December. Now we are in the stage of where we need to be able to proceed with being able to engineer things and get environmental permitting. And the environmental permitting we need requires us to be able to get on site, to be able to do shovel tests, those kinds of things, to look for artifacts or to measure the amount of water, that kind of thing. And also we need the ability to be able to condemn, if necessary after negotiations fail, to be able to acquire easements for, again, the right-of-way of the line long-term permanent easements. So in that particular case, we have by far a majority of folks that are supportive of the project and are allowing us to be able to proceed with these things. And this would give us the opportunity, should we have to use it, to be able to proceed in that direction.
All right. Any questions from the board?
I have one question. Is it on an existing power line, or is it a new route entirely for the?
It's a new route. It's a new 23-mile line.
Okay.
It's a new route.
And when you say condemn, we don't take physical possession of the property, we just acquire an easement?
Yeah, there's a couple different processes here. One would be a temporary easement, which would allow us to be able to get onto the property to be able to do the inspections we need from an environmental perspective, or possibly to be able to get on a property to be able to support the construction of the line, though the line would not be on that property permanently. That would be a temporary form. It includes that, and then the permanent easement that we would acquire a little later on in the project would be to be able to allow us the right to get on the right-of-way underneath the transmission line for maintenance and ongoing operations. But you're correct, we would not own that land. We would just own the right to be able to use it in that way.
And property owners have the right to challenge our decision, and it could be ruled on by a court.
Yes.
But we still, in the end, we, as a public entity, have the right and authority to use condemnation if it's in the public interest.
That's correct.
Okay.
Then it just becomes a matter of dollars. Right? Yeah. And we also, if we go in at any time, cause crop damage or whatever, we pay those damages as they happen.
We come back after the fact and pay the damages restoration.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I might mention that we have a letter of opposition from Julie Heinmarst, a property owner in the Elkhorn Valley transmission project. She questions our process and customer engagement. So, and you've all received that. Anything further? Any questions or comments from the audience? I see none. Ms. Tracy?
Barrett?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Gay?
Yes.
Green?
Yes.
Curley,
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Mines?
Yes.
Ulrich?
Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 10, resolution number 6128. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors accepts the monitoring report for Strategic Directive SD9 Resource Planning in the form as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part thereof, and finds OPPD to be sufficiently in compliance with the policy as stated.
I so move.
Second. Director?
As you know, Tuesday we went an in-depth presentation on this. These are part of our new policies that require approval periodically by the board to make sure we're following set written policies. This is, we kind of went through this with our decision about Fort Calhoun. So you're really well versed in this. As it evolves in a yearly process, though, as we talked about earlier about the goals, et cetera, it'll become an annual thing. It won't just be specifically Fort Calhoun driven. This is going to be an annual review of our resources, which I think will be a real valuable tool for us as a board and for the district as a whole. Any questions you may have about this, I'd be glad to offer them to Mr. Easterling to answer.
Would you mind give us from your perspective, the overview of the SD and where we're going?
Okay. I would say that the policy itself provides direction to management with regard to how we go about doing resource planning. And it has allowed us or provided the direction for us to, I would say, add a new, more sophisticated process to what we have historically done. In the past, we have used net present value and various scenarios to look at future outcomes. We still do that today, but in addition to that, we've added the stochastics. I can't say it, excuse me, stochastics. And that allows a risk-based view of not only what is the cost and the economics of it, but what is the risk-based cost. And so it gives you a comparison to look at that you're not going in one direction purely on economics, but increasing the overall risk to the organization and to our customers. So it gives us a more balanced view, I think, and the reason you do that is there's more uncertainty today about the future than we have had in the past. The uncertainty comes about through volatility in economics, volatility in fuel source prices, volatility or changes in technology. And how do we try to put our arms around all of that and understand that from not only the reliability standpoint and the cost standpoint, but from the risk standpoint.
That's so. Any questions for Mr. Easterling? Thank you.
Thanks.
Comments or questions from the floor? I see none. Ms. Tracy?
Barrett?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Gay? Green?
Yes.
Curley,
Yes.
McGuire?
Yes.
Mines?
Yes.
Ulrich?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Before we do our State of the Utility, I'd like to announce that our August board meeting will be held Thursday, August 11th at 7 p.m. at the John B. Muller Administration Services Building at Bellevue University. And that's at 1000 Galvin Road South in Bellevue. So we won't have it during the day. We'll meet in the evening in Bellevue. State of the Utility.
Very good, thank you very much. And as we kind of take a couple months off here, do a variety of activity at the board over the last several months, but I'll kind of pick up with July. We'll kind of go from our generation all the way through the organization, and then talk about employees as well as community activity that's been going on. From our generation side, Nebraska City, essentially through the month of June, had a capacity factor of 80%. We had a couple forced outages due to a turbine hydraulic fluid in one of the governor valve cylinders, as well as boiler tube leak as well. Nebraska City 2 remained in service for the entire month, although it was derated because of a circulating water pump. We were experiencing some failures with that. That has since been replaced, and we're operating well. But it's been essentially in continuous service for 216 days, even with some of the derate. Its capacity factor for June was 79.1%. Unit number 5 was available for operation the entire month with no forced outages or derates. Number 4 returned to service on June 3rd after an extended 34-day maintenance outage. It was scheduled and maintained. The outage was completed with the schedule duration under budget without any significant accidents or safety incidents over the course of time. And so that went very well. I would just like to say with some of these forced outages that have occurred on the systems as they're being stressed in the heat, these are not like in industrial buildings where they're air conditioned on the inside. And so temperatures in these buildings can be significant. If it's 100 degrees outside, it's 150, 170 degrees inside. And so our men and women on our power plants have just done an exceptional job, and those that have supported them in the district on these outages to make sure that we have our generation during these hot days of summer. Unit number 3 was in reserve shutdown for most of the month, available for operation on natural gas. However, the unit was started up on June 30th in preparation for a 90% capacity test to be performed on July 1st, and that's part of our commitment with SPP to make sure that capacity has the capability to operate. For the month of June 2016, renewable energy contributed 11.4% of OPPD's retail sales. Capacity factor for the renewables was at 40.6%. Renewable energy year-to-date has contributed 17.7% of our retail sales, and wind capacity was at 48.4%. As was reported at our board committee meeting on Tuesday, we did have a forced outage at Fort Calhoun for a period of time as we were doing and performing a modification on our digital control system. And when that scram event or that trip event occurred, the system and all the plant personnel performed in the manner in which they've been trained or which they were intended to operate. So that's positive, and that goes to and speaks to the quality of the work our team has done over the years to prepare for these kinds of events. Also in June, the Institute of Nuclear Power Operations, the IMPO, announced that the accrediting board renewed our accreditation of the operations training program at OPPD's Fort Calhoun Station. And so there was several individuals, Shane and several of his management team and operators had the opportunity to go down, and trainers had the opportunity to go down and present to the accreditation board, and did just a wonderful job. And the conversation I've had with the IMPO leadership was that they performed incredibly well. And so we again have that accreditation of our training programs at Fort Calhoun. On the transmission distribution side of the business, with the ongoing growth that's occurring across our service territory, a new large distribution transformer and new distribution circuits was added to substation 1253. It's also part of our commitment, not only about capacity and load changes going on in certain areas of our service territory, but also about our response about service reliability around customers. And so we've added that large distribution transformer to substation 1253 on 204th and Pacific Streets. And that transformer and all distribution circuits were energized ahead of schedule on May 19th. Substation 1366, we recently completed add of an auto transformer in that substation. That's around 27th and Platteview and Bellevue to improve reliability on that transmission system and distribution system as well. And with the ongoing growth that's occurring down there, not only at Offutt Air Force Base, but across the region in that area. And that was energized on schedule on May 31st. Obviously, we've had on the month of June a variety of storms, and so the OPPD personnel and the systems, have been stressed. One with the very, very hot weather, and certainly with storms and high winds and lightning and a variety of the things that have occurred over the last month. Over 40 crews on July 7th responded to the outages, which peaked at about 4,500 customers without power. And there was significant damage across our service territory, certainly in the South Rural as well as in the metropolitan area. Our crews were able to restore customers really within a 24-hour period. Did just an exceptional job, committed to that service with actually no injuries. We did have some folks that suffered from some heat exhaustion and things like that, but obviously restored their fluids and gave them time to rest, and then they went back out and began to restore power. Even though this was in July 6th and 7th, we also reported at the board committee meeting on Tuesday our rating agency visit that our CFO, Mr. Easterland, Director John Green, John Thurber, Mary Fisher, and I had the opportunity to talk to our rating agencies about our operating and financial condition, the board governance process, strategic cost and process initiative that's going on at OPPD, our rebalance generation portfolio initiative, environmental compliance assessment, and a review of rate competitiveness. They're about 2.5-hour meetings by the time we roll through all of that, and then they're challenging questions back to us. And then that's in anticipation of them to update our credit ratings in July prior to our future debt issue. And all of those meetings went very well, and the response by both of those agencies, as well as the representatives attending for them, was very positive on where OPPD is positioned for the future. Cool Smart program, even though it's kind of a cool day in the summer, 85 degrees I think is supposed to be the high today. Our Cool Smart program has been utilized 3 times as of July 7th anyway to reduce our peak load. Those dates are June 10th, 16th, and 17th. And so we have about 40,000 customers on that program today, which provides a demand reduction of about 55 megawatts. So we're seeing some great value of that. That current program allows OPPD to call on these customers or their systems at least up to 12 times annually. And so we're utilizing them when we need to, so we're not setting peak demands going forward. On the people side and the community side, employee side, we had 40 employees that graduated from our 2016 Career Connections. It's our mentoring program across the district. We had multiple executives and middle managers that mentor a variety of employees, obviously 40 employees across the district, not only on their development, individual and personal and professional development, but also on projects that they do within the organization and in the community. It's a great opportunity to really see the great work our employees do and the great work they're doing in the community and making the community better. So very, very proud of not only the mentors, but also the proteges and some of the work that they're doing. We've been doing a variety of different work with kids, either in our Summer Stars Camp at UNO or with Field Club Elementary School, where we worked with 55 third and fourth graders to learn about how electricity is generated, transmitted over long distances, distributed power to its customers, just a number of things going on in the industry. We had Maurice Kimsey, Gina Langle from Production Engineering. Maurice is with our Customer Sales and Service Group. Tevi Lawson is with our T&D Group. Laura Manning is with our System Planning Group. Mark Pohl is also with Customer Service. And they presented a series of sessions for this summer school to these classes. And so our employees are engaging in what we believe are going to be our future employees of the future. And our safety group actually did a safety presentation. So I have 2 big packets of thank you notes they've sent on what they've learned in that process. And so the question they asked was, how many people want to work for OPPD? Maybe one person raised the hand on the front of the program. At the end of the program, everybody but one. That individual was still going to be a doctor. So that's okay. That's personally okay. We had a variety of employees participate in the NAACP-sponsored Juneteenth parade celebration that occurred on June 18th. So it was a great response and a great community representation that we had. We also had employees that supported the Urban League's Girls Summer STEAM Academy. It's a 6-week program that exposes high school girls of color to careers in science, technology, engineering, agriculture and mathematics. And over the course of the summer, we had for a long week, we had 4 educators that are in our school systems that come to work for OPPD for a week period of time. We give them a variety of different experiences across all of the disciplines of OPPD, and they really get to see kind of what's going on. And it's a great opportunity for them to be able to go back to their classes and share with the classes what they've learned, but also gives them an appreciation of the opportunities and the skill sets that we need going forward. And it's just a great relationship we have with them. And this is in partnership with the Greater Omaha Chamber and the Metropolitan Community College program that they have. And so with that, that concludes the State of the Utility Report.
Any rebuttal to that? You've had a busy month.
Yes, they have.
Yeah, yes, they have. All right, this is the time that we entertain comments from the public, and welcome. Hello again.
Hi, John Pollock, 1412 North 35th Street. This is an unusual one. We are looking at not just a regular heat wave coming up, but a high-end heat wave that's going to test the system. The first indication is that for many days now, the extended models have shown that a heat dome is going to develop over the central part of the country of unusual intensity. Starting about Sunday, it bridges over from the Atlantic Ocean and sets up shop over, on the average, over Kansas, Nebraska, and it just sits there and intensifies for approximately a week. After that week is done, the models begin to diverge. However, even having that level of agreement is very unusual in the summer. Usually they're all over the place and you don't see a strong pattern emerge. So to see the kind of intensity that I've been seeing on this thing is an indication of a very strong heat wave. After that first week, the heat dome tends to persist, but the models can't agree on whether it stays in place, whether it migrates east, whether it goes west, but on the average, it's still over the middle of the country. The consequences, we've got wet ground going into this thing for a lot of the area. So what that means is that when it starts to heat up, the temperature won't go up as fast as it might, particularly during a drought year, but a lot of the energy is going to go into evaporating water from the ground and vegetation. That means that it's better for plants. It's no better for people because and the air conditioning load is probably approximately the same whether you're dealing with 99 degrees in high humidity or 107 in low humidity. But we're looking at those kind of temperatures. We're going to be seeing triple digits by later next week, and I don't know how long that's going to last. And it's not just going to be for us. It's going to be testing the whole SPP. It's going to be testing the interlinks between us and surrounding districts. This is a big
30
one.
seconds.
Okay. I would hope that you're not going to be initiating shutoffs from this point out where people are going to need their air conditioning if they've got it. And next week, it's already going to be hot early in the week. Any questions?
Is this where we kill the messenger?
Yeah, that's, I'm not getting paid to get killed anymore.
There's an opening in Channel 6.
I'm not going there. This is a public utility, and my advice is free whether you like it or not.
Thank you, Jeff. Andy?
We do have a thing that we don't do shut-offs when it's real hot, don't we,
Right,
Mrs.
we
Constance?
monitor the heat index.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Corbin?
David Corbin, 1002 North 49th Street. Just three quick items to repeat. We had requested that the shutoffs, now that the fixed rate is increased, that we would know how many shutoffs there would be, so we have a baseline, and then as that gets bigger and bigger, that we would know whether it is indeed cutting off more people. So if it's not part of the state of the utility report, perhaps somewhere online where we can access that information. The second, last time I asked about since the voting on the shutdown in Fort Calhoun, about the status of the contract with Exelon. I haven't heard any answer for that, and somebody said they would refer me to somebody. That hasn't happened. The third thing is I'm looking forward to the announcement of what is going to be the new plan with the Green Fund. So I'm expecting that will be the end of this month or next month. So I'm looking forward to that. Thanks.
All right, I'll ask Mr. Burke to respond.
So certainly on the Exelon agreement, obviously, we're still in we're a commercial nuclear generating plant through cessation of operations will be at the end of the year. And so we'll maintain the current agreement that we have with Exelon. Then obviously we'll be in conversation with them about what that transition will look like going forward. And so as we kind of unravel some of those pieces, we're still a commercial nuclear reactor. So that's part of our arrangement with them to provide that expertise and support for that operation. And then obviously we'll work over the next several months to begin to look at what that looks like going forward in the future. So we'll see what that looks like, and obviously we'll have an opportunity to share that with the board. On the other piece on the Green Power Plan, we're getting closer. I think we're going to be seeing that in the next couple of weeks here at the senior management side, and probably bringing that to the board in the August period of time. So that's the plan.
And the shutoffs, is that?
The shutoffs, the conversations that we've had on the shutoffs is that we're going to provide that on an annual basis, as we had in the past in our presentation of our credit collections process. We're certainly monitoring that, but it's a conversation that we've done with the board, and that we'll continue to do it in our annual reporting that we do with the board publicly anyway.
So what month does that come out?
Julie, remember which month we do that in? When we do our whole credit collections.
In February?
Yeah, I think it's in the February timeframe that we've done that.
The first of the year.
So we do that at the
Thank you.
committee.
Thank
meeting.
you.
Scott Williams, 312 South 16th Street, in Director McGuire's district. I brought something with me today. That is my June bill and my July bill. I brought these with me to highlight the fact that the July bill is the first time that reflects the increased fixed fees that all of the ratepayers are going to be paying. And my concerns there are many, and I think that probably no one in this room has forgotten the literally dozens and dozens of people who were here in November and particularly December to stand in opposition to that plan. And I want the board to know that we haven't forgotten, that this is still not the right direction to be moving.
It's been voted on and passed. Can we move on?
I believe I have 3 minutes.
Okay, but we've already voted on this and passed it. Okay.
And this is public comments on any issue, and I'm going to speak for 3 minutes on this issue. We haven't forgotten what the plan was in November and December, and we're still not pleased. Not all of us have the opportunity and the flexibility of schedule to come here once this has begun, once we've seen increased bills for people in the district, to be able to come here and express their frustrations. But I know that I had the unfortunate and disconcerting opportunity this month to have a dear friend of mine call me in a shutoff situation and ask me for help. And that's exceedingly difficult to be able to try and interact with a friend of yours who has no electricity in their house. And I'm concerned that when we move to raise the fixed fees on our bills, that we're going to be disproportionately punishing those who are conserving energy, those who are generating their own clean energy, and then those who just can't afford to use anymore. And that's been a concern since this plan was brought forward at the end of last year. It was highlighted in the conversation when this board voted to approve that plan, and it's still a concern now. So this is the first step in what I and many others have stated is the wrong direction for the district, to be moving towards increased fixed fees. Fixed fees fall disproportionately on low-income individuals in our community, and that's not the right direction for the board to be moving. It is true. Fixed fees disproportionately fall to those who have lower bills. I'd be happy to have your own staff bring forward the
Lower usage, not lower income. Fixed fee.
But you recognize that those are correlated, right? You recognize that low usage and low income.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Low usage is not correlated to income.
Okay, I guess we're gonna have to agree to disagree for the time being. So low usage, whether that is correlated, as I contend, with low income or not, low usage is disproportionately punished here. And low usage can come from low income and the fact that people just can't afford to buy any more electricity, or the fact that they're conserving, right? Mary Bainsberg has been here speaking routinely about the fact that she has done everything she can in a fixed income to lower her electric bill usage, or people who are generating their own electricity cleanly and trying to provide that to the district. As I mentioned previously, at a time when demands for electricity are peaking, solar panels are providing peak power. My brother's a great example of that. We put solar panels on his house and they provide electricity back to the grid. So what I'm concerned about is the fact that this has been the first step in what I said is a path that is moving in a direction that I don't agree with. I think that this is not the right direction for the district, and I think that I'd like to ask you to update your policy on telling us about shutoffs from annually to monthly. I know this has been a conversation, but I think that shutoffs are a real concern because low-income, low users are a real concern because they're going to be punished the most by these types of plans. And I think that I'd like to ask for an update in that shutoff update policy. Additionally, I wanted to... Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
May I say something?
Yes.
My bill was significantly higher for July this year compared to the previous month and also compared to the previous year, same month. The reason being was it was a lot warmer. I used a lot more power. So my bill was quite a bit higher, and I was looking because I was curious to see too what the impact I would face, but it was strictly based upon
Usage?
usage.
Okay.
What were the degree days that we talked about on Tuesday?
They were 70% above normal for the month of June.
70% above normal for the month of June. Okay.
It was a very hot month.
However, if somebody uses the higher usage, the service charge, can you explain that? That it's really not going to affect the service charges. Can you explain that?
Did everyone hear the question? Ann, you want to repeat
The
that?
relationship between high usage and service charges is everybody in the summer may have higher charges. What is their service charge going to be if they have high usage?
The implementation in June basically provided the least impact to customers because it was a period of higher usage. And so as it was implemented and the fixed cost increased, the energy rate decreased during a month in which you would use more energy. So you would have to look at period to period, but you should see a reduction in the energy charge being applied to more energy, which would, without that, you would have had a higher energy bill. That, in not all cases, but many cases, would offset the increase in the fixed charge.
Which is if we just have the shutoffs, that might not necessarily be because of the service charge. It's because perhaps we've had 70% higher usage as far as.
Well, normally a shut-off notice is occurring because of prior periods of unpaid bills, not the current month.
Right. Which
So
is why.
you have a lag between payment before you get the notice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Hi, Kathleen Hughes, 3624 Westgate Road. John and David already mentioned shutoffs, which was my main concern. Was earlier this year, I thought I understood that you would be giving us monthly shutoffs. The reason I'm concerned about it is I know MUD gave me personally their shutoffs every month. They gave me a statement of how many shutoffs they have every month. The question would be, are the shutoffs from people moving or are they from lack of paying their bills? But I'm working with the OTOC Housing Committee to try to weatherize Section 8 housing. We're kind of in the process of doing that to try to decrease maybe the, my main concern that earlier this year, you might remember, was the little girl who died from hypothermia, and looking at maybe she was in Section 8 housing, maybe that she needed to have her house weatherized, maybe she had a slumlord that wasn't taking care of her, or the furnace. Anyway, so this is an ongoing process, but because MUD does it, I would like you to reconsider giving us monthly instead of once a year, so that we can the OTOC can help more figure out exactly when we need to help people and what we need to do to help them. And then as far as, I also have to agree with Scott that I am a low income and low user. I'm also an environmentalist, but if you're an environmentalist and you don't have a problem with money, like you're making $300,000 a year, you don't really care what your bills are. It doesn't matter. But if you're an environmentalist, whether you're low income or high income, but if you're low income, you're more aware of keeping your house higher in the summer and never turn it down below 78, and in the winter, keeping it, wearing a sweater. So anyway, we agree to disagree. Thank you.
Kathleen, may I ask you what you would, if that information were provided on a monthly basis, how do you determine the need, or how do you determine individual reasons for the shutoff?
Well, I think for a couple things, I think we'd like you to be more aware of shutoffs and what they're coming from, because we don't want shutoffs. We don't want people to be like that little girl that died from hypothermia. We don't want that, and we're not blaming you for it.
But if we give you 1,000, I don't know, I'm picking a number, 1,000 shutoffs, what would you do with that information?
The Housing Committee of OTOG is asking for it as part of the process, and I'm not the only one working on this, so I can't really.
But what does that provide other than customers where their service was discontinued? What, does it tell you that they are low income, low use? Does it tell you they can't afford it? Does it tell you they have a grievance, they don't want to pay their bill for some reason? What does it really tell you? And I don't know, I'm just curious how you use that information.
Like I said, we're just in the beginning stages of trying to evaluate what we can do to help these people.
Okay.
So, and I think it'd be good for you to know how many shutoffs you have a month.
We do.
And that we would like to know them.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions, comments from the floor? Want to thank you all for being here, and we are adjourned.